Welcome to part 2. Now, before we go any further, there are a few very important things we need to take careful note of. One of them is that throughout the history of Kenya, those who have tried to do the right thing, those who have tried to fight corruption, even in politics, have ended up absolutely nowhere. And those who have fully supported corruption, those who have sided with corruption, have gone places. They have climbed up politically. Let us take the example of Burudi Nabwera, mentioned in the previous episode of this series. The man who was brave enough to name names in parliament, to name the names of the big fish. Big fish in the Jomo Kenyatta government were involved in smuggling, which was very serious because you realize these people in their greed were risking a diplomatic incident. Because this was a foreign government. They don't want things to be smuggled out of their island. They don't want their chief foreign exchange earner, gloves, to be smuggled by people who want to get rich quickly. And they've even complained to the Kenyan government. But corruption is so powerful that it ignored even that. It risked all that. Now, very interesting, Bwana Burudi Nabwera is still alive today. Indeed, he has recently released a biography of his life. And it is also useful to note that Bwana Burudi Nabwera was the very first ambassador to the US from Kenya. He also doubled up as a personal representative to the United Nations. For those who love to read books, I would highly recommend this particular biography. If you can find it in a bookshop in Nairobi. Of course, I'll make arrangements later on this channel to feature some of the highlights in that particular biography because I think it's very important for us. It's very important for the country. Anyway, my point here is that this very principled politician, this very brave politician, was obstructed. Obstacles were put in his way. He never went very far in Kenyan politics. Indeed, there are very many Kenyans even today. You mentioned the name Burudi Nabwera. They have no idea who you're talking about. They have no idea that in fact you're talking about a great son of Kenya. And that is one of the saddest things about corruption. It rewards the greedy. Corruption and our system in Kenya today, and so far, hardly rewards people who do the right thing. It hardly rewards, in fact it never rewards, patriotic Kenyans who do things that can stand the test of time. The greedier and the more corrupt you are, the more you'll be rewarded by politics in Kenya. That is the truth. And that is something with which Kenyans must change, like yesterday, if our country is to go anywhere. Anyway, on to my next question to my political lecturer. And it is this. Now, many people see Raila Odinga as the only hope for a better Kenya, as the only person who can help get Kenya out of this mess and send us on the right track to save our country. What are your views on this? Over to you, sir.
Gosh, I've never trusted Raila. Raila is the son of Jaramogi Oginga Odinga. And Jaramogi Oginga Odinga did a lot of things that are not for the good of the country called Kenya. For instance, he frustrated Tom Mboya a lot. TJ got involved in political struggles and political battles that were unnecessary, and battles which slowed down the progress of Kenya, just because of Jaramogi Oginga Odinga's selfish interests. And the Swahili have a saying, mtoto wa nyoka ni nyoka. That means a snake can only give birth to a snake. Now, son, I know you love Raila. I know you voted for him in 2007. But with my experience and with the knowledge I have of the man, he can never be trusted, whatever anybody thinks about him. He is also the same man who was involved in the 1982 coup attempt. Do you know what happened in 1982? Do you know how many Kenyans, innocent Kenyans, lost their lives? That is not a man I can never trust. I cannot trust him any day. Give me TJ, Tom Mboya, if he was still alive. He would get the job done.
Now, I respectfully disagree with you, sir, because Raila is very different from his father. Raila is in fact a very different politician from his late father. In my view, Raila is a great Kenyan, and indeed what Raila has achieved so far, what he has done for the country called Kenya, will stand the test of time. He will go down in history as one of the truly great Kenyans. Therefore, I don't agree with you at all concerning Raila Odinga. Anyway, if I may ask, sir, who do you think could get the job done? Because in my view, it's only Raila who is in the correct position, who is powerful enough, who is still in politics and influential enough to get things done. But if we remove Raila from the equation, who else? Are there any other names that you could bring forth as possible people who can take the country forward?
Yes, there are many Kenyans. But you see what has happened over the years? These Kenyans have been frustrated. There are people like Gitobu Manyara, still alive. There are people like Koigi Wamwere, still alive. These are people who really love the country. These are people who have risked their lives for a better Kenya. Gosh, there's no way you can compare people like Koigi Wamwere and Gitobu Manyara to people like Ruto. What has Ruto done for the country? What has Ruto risked for a better Kenya? Nothing.
Now I'm sure you realize the people you have mentioned are political rejects. Gitobu Manyara could not get elected to parliament. Koigi Wamwere also failed. It seems that the voters have rejected these people. So how can they change the country and yet the voters have rejected them?
The voters have rejected them because of corruption. If we get rid of corruption, then we'll get the right people in office to do the job. Corrupt voters will always elect corrupt leaders. And that is why I'm surprised that Kenyans keep on complaining about their leaders. But you see, the whole issue is that we have corrupt voters who have voted in corrupt leaders, and therefore they should not complain. The end of corruption has to start with the voters. The voters stop being corrupt, they elect the right leaders, like Gitobu Manyara, Koigi Wamwere, people who have done something for the country. Even a man like James Orengo would make a very good president. Unfortunately, Martin Shikuku is dead, but Martin Shikuku was for very many years the people's watchman. He stood one man alone in parliament as the opposition in the days when Kenya was not a multi-party country, when we had a one-party government. Martin Shikuku was a one-man opposition. He is the only one who had guts to challenge the government.
Now your views are very interesting, but of course you realize they're not very practical because the political situation in the country is different. And anyway, how do you stop voters from being corrupt? How do you change the mindset of an entire country overnight?
Gosh, I always thought I brought you up better than that. I thought you knew better than to speak like that. You know very well in life there are no shortcuts, okay? If you want to get anything good, you have to work very hard for it. And therefore, Kenyan voters have to work very hard to change their mindsets in order to get better leadership. It cannot happen by magic. Kenyan voters cannot continue in their corrupt ways, bribing traffic policemen and doing all kinds of corrupt things, and this corruption extends to their voting patterns. They cannot continue in the same way and expect a change in Kenya. Never. It will never happen. Nothing comes easy. So Kenyan voters have to do the hard thing and the right thing. The right thing is always hard to do. Doing the right thing involves risks. It involves a lot of discomfort. You remember my time in the police and the difficulties I ran into. Doing the right thing is not easy. But if you want something good, you have to work for it and you have to do the right thing. That is my answer.
What is your view on police brutality? Yeah, in our last elections, several people were killed by policemen.
Now you already know my answer to that question very well, because I was in the police and I've told you this several times. Everything went wrong with the police when the police joined politics. And you do not need a new constitution to ensure that the police are not involved in politics. How do you run the police force when you're in politics? When the police is involved in politics, and you have people like the former commissioner Bwana Kilonzo attending Harambes and making contributions, then that is the end of your police force. Now, the police brutality is just the policeman following orders. Every policeman has orders to follow. Policemen don't act on their own. They're ordered, and the order comes up from the chain of command. And so if you have a corrupt policeman like Philip Kilonzo, who is a commissioner of police, he will give corrupt orders to his officers. He'll give them political orders, which he has got from the executive. And if the executive wants people killed, the policeman will follow orders to the ground. You've given him a firearm and you've ordered him to kill, so the policeman will kill. So the whole problem is that the police are involved in politics. Get the police out of politics and you'll have solved the problems, even without a constitution, even without laws. Although I must say, and I believe I always said this to you, that the police force was finished a long time ago. Therefore, rebuilding it is a very difficult, near impossible task. But I believe it can be done if somebody is serious about removing the police completely from politics. Police work has nothing to do with politics.
Thank you very much, sir. It has been a great honor having you on this channel, on this show. I believe my subscribers have learned a lot, and I'm sure they'll take a lot away from this show and, your views expressed in this show. Thank you very much. Now, folks, I hope that was interesting. Yeah, it was quite interesting for me. Unfortunately for all of you, it is completely accurate. Because I have brothers, who take in this channel. So I'm sure if anything was said that my political lecturer would never have said, they will tell me immediately. They will even put it in the comments here. So you can be sure that what I've done here is accurate. I'm of course aware that many of you out there are a bit surprised that my views were very different from those of my political lecturer. But he gave me the basics. And it taught me a lot of things about politics. And indeed it is said, a student can become greater than the teacher. Indeed, isn't that what makes a teacher very proud? When their students rise to heights above themselves. After they've trained them, after they've given them the basics, after they've nurtured them for very many years, which is exactly what happened in this case. Therefore, thanks very much for your time, and I hope you enjoyed this rather extraordinary series that I've had on this channel. Until next time, this is Kshs Kumekucha.